Am I the a-hole for protecting myself from my biological father and his wife, even if it hurts my kid? I, 44F, have always had a complicated family history, but I've done my best to build a life that feels safe and stable, especially for my children. Still, I keep finding myself torn between what I want to do, what I need to do, and what will inevitably hurt someone I love. That's why I'm here. I need to ask, am I the asshole for cutting off my biological father completely, even if that means my 6-year-old son loses his relationship with his grandfather? To start from the beginning, my biological father was in my life briefly during early childhood. But when I was 9, he agreed to let my stepfather adopt me. At the time, I didn't fully understand what that meant. All I knew was that my stepdad was the one who showed up. He was patient, he was warm, and he loved me fiercely. He never made me feel like I wasn't his. He supported me through school, cheered at my dance recitals, stayed up with me when I had nightmares. He was my real dad in every way that mattered. And so I never resented my biological father for walking away. In fact, I believed he did it out of love. My mother, his ex-wife, was emotionally unstable and often cruel. My childhood with her was chaotic and sometimes traumatic. She played mind games, controlled every aspect of my life, and made it clear that I was more of a burden than a blessing. It took me years, and eventually going no contact, to fully heal from her damage. I haven't spoken to her in almost a decade. Looking back, I think my biological father recognized what kind of person she was and chose to step back, believing my stepfather could give me the life he couldn't. In a strange way, I respected that. I told myself he did the best he could with what he had. Then, about 8 years ago, everything changed. My stepfather, the man I had named my firstborn after, passed away. Losing him shattered something in me. For a while, it felt like the ground had disappeared under my feet. But somewhere in that grief, a small thought took root. Maybe now it wouldn't be a betrayal to reach out to my biological dad. So I did. At first, it was good. Awkward, sure. But also tender and hopeful in this cautious way. I thought maybe we'd get a second chance. We started with emails and phone calls. He seemed genuinely happy to hear from me. I introduced him to my children, and while I didn't expect him to immediately step into the role of grandfather, I hoped we could build something resembling a connection. But then his wife found out about me. She hadn't known I existed, which, in hindsight, was probably the first red flag. Her reaction was swift and cruel. She didn't just reject me. She made it clear she despised me. She said things I won't easily forget. Called me a whore. Said my house was filthy. Claimed I was using my father for money, which I wasn't and never have. Worst of all, she told me her daughter was supposed to be the only one to give my dad grandchildren, and that I was ruining that fantasy. All of this was done in private. To his face, she smiled. Behind his back, she tore me down. I stayed quiet about it for a while, because I was desperate to have even a sliver of family left. I thought maybe, if I could prove myself, she'd soften. Maybe if I showed I wasn't a threat, she'd let him be part of my life. But she never did. She even controlled how he visited me. He could only come if she was there too, though she visited her daughter on her own all the time. I asked my father to make a bed for my youngest son. He's an incredible woodworker, and I thought it could be something special, a keepsake. He said no. A few weeks later, I found out he made a bed for his wife's daughter instead. It hurt more than I expected. I wasn't looking for favoritism. I just wanted to matter. After 4 years of trying to pretend everything was fine, I finally told him about the way his wife had been treating me. He acted surprised, even upset, and promised to handle it. And for a while, things did get better. She kept her distance, and I started to feel hopeful again. But then the insults started coming from him. It was like he'd picked up where she left off. He told me I had a face like leather. He said I looked like an Indian, which he meant as an insult. He called me lazy, old, accused me of lying constantly about things that didn't even matter. He even sent me an email saying he was a better parent than me, which felt like a dagger to the chest considering he wasn't around to be one. Eventually, I had to ask myself, why am I trying so hard to keep someone in my life who clearly doesn't value me? And that was the moment I knew I had to cut contact. For my mental health. For my peace. For my dignity. Here's where it gets complicated. I have 2 sons. My oldest is 21, and he still has a relationship with my father. I've never interfered with that. I'm actually happy for them. I want my kids to have as much love and connection as they can get, even if it's not through me. But my younger son is only 6. He asks about his grandpa constantly. He remembers little moments, like when my dad gave him a small wooden toy, or when he called to sing him happy birthday. And every time he asks when he'll see Grandpa again, my heart sinks. Because the answer is he won't. And that's where the guilt creeps in. Am I depriving my child of a relationship that could be meaningful, even joyful, just because I was hurt? Am I letting my trauma dictate his life? But then I remember the emails, the insults, the way my father twisted a second chance into another wound. And I think about how exposing my 6-year-old to that kind of emotional instability, even secondhand, could do more harm than good. I don't want to be the reason my father's marriage falls apart, either. From what I can tell, they're content as long as I'm not around. Maybe I was always meant to be the chapter they never opened. Maybe that's just how it is. So, am I the a-hole? Am I the asshole for choosing peace over pain, even if it means my son loses something I never had? Because, right now, I'm the one who feels lost. And I just want to know if protecting myself means failing someone else.